You're a Jedi.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in Skeleton Crew Episode 2. Man, this episode is packed with small background details and clues about what Atton really is. I cannot wait to break this baby down for you. Now, a little later in the video, I'm going to tell you guys about a new holiday sale at our merch store, new details in our live show, and as always, pop onto our free-to-join Discord server and let me know what you thought of the episode. So, we begin with the ship in hyperspace, and notice the three primary readouts on the console are three circles. Now, this is very similar to the cockpit of the Naboo N1 starfighter from The Phantom Menace. Now, there's a thematic parallel here. Young Anakin was pulled away in a ship that was on autopilot, just like these kids. But also, in this episode, we find out that Atton has been untouched since the days of the Old Republic. This means this pirate ship has probably been here since before the Clone Wars. So, it has similar technology to the pre-war Naboo starfighter. And then the ship is jerked out of hyperspace early, which by the way is really dangerous, like Han Solo explains here.
Without precise calculations, we'd fly right through a star or bounce too close to a supernova and then it'd end your trip real quick, wouldn't it?
And then SM-33 comes down the hallway. So I think this shot, where he's surrounded by red mist, was probably meant to emulate Darth Vader's hallway fight in Rogue One. So I pointed this out in our last episode, but the droid's name, SM-33, looks like Smee, when it's written out. And Smee was, of course, Captain Hook's servant in Peter Pan. Here, he is voiced by Nick Frost, which is an Easter egg just in casting. Nick Frost was on a UK show called Spaced that centered on friends working in a comic shop. The lead in the show was his collaborator, Simon Pegg, and a clip of the show went viral when his character went off on a rant about the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, but Jar Jar Binks makes the Ewoks look like fucking Shaft. I've had enough, Tim.
So, in The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams cast Pegg, who is a huge Star Wars fan, to play Unkar Plutt. Abrams casting Pegg was a favor to the guy who played Scotty in his Star Trek movies, but it was also a subtle way to let the fans know that they were trying to distance themselves from the prequels.
What the Phantom Menace is that guy's problem?
It comes full circle, with another cast member from Spaced, Nick Frost, joining the saga. And he's doing a pretty great pirate voice.
Jude is in the cockpit. What can I do with these gremlins?
And the way he says,
There are some who call me SM-33.
seems like a nod to this.
There are some who call me Tim.
33 runs through a list of planets, including Atton, which is the home city of the Inhumans in Marvel Comics. And he also name drops Aldhani, the planet where Andor and other rebels pulled off a payroll heist in Season 1 of that amazing show. Also, here's a neat costume detail. Neil's outfit is a burlap sack with overalls. Just before they jump to hyperspace, the little rat living in Smee's head jumps back in. So I wonder if he can sense the ship's engines beginning to spool up and he knew the droid was a safe place to be.
Yeah, or maybe he was just cold.
Yes, he could have just been cold. But you know what? I like it. It's the equivalent of a pirate having a parrot on his shoulder.
Ah, geez, person.
What's the matter, Doug? Did you just find out that hoverboards aren't actually real?
They're not? Ah, jeez, this is the worst day ever. No, I'm trying to find a Christmas present for my dad, but he is ever so hard to shop for.
Oh my god, I know so many people who are exactly like that. And I think you should always try to get people something unusual. Something you can't just find by doom scrolling on your phone. Like my watch.
Oh yeah, my dad would love that watch.
Oh, you like it? Well, actually, we could get him this watch. It's called Oscar, and it's made from walnut and marble, made by Holzkern, the sponsor of this video.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right? Holzkern specializes in one-of-a-kind products made from wood and other natural materials. And your dad will like it because it is so unique and special. Like for instance, on my watch, the dial is made from a poplar fig leaf. See, that's what I really love about Holzkern. They make their products in small quantities, so every item meets a high standard of quality that's going to last you a very long time. That's why they make for perfect gifts. They're made from natural materials, and I like knowing that all of their wood is FSC certified, and they are working to fight deforestation.
Well, that's good for my dad, but what about my mom?
Well, actually, Holzkern makes products for women too, so you could get your mom this beautiful composition gem necklace made from moonstone and silver. It's unique, natural, and truly one of a kind. If you click the link in the description and use our discount code ScreenCrush, you'll get 15% off. Holzkern also offers free express worldwide shipping from their beautiful home in Vienna, and they pay the customs fee for you. Products typically arrive within 2 to 5 business days, and get this, all orders placed by December 19th are guaranteed to arrive by Christmas Day. So again, click our link in the description, use our discount code ScreenCrush, and get your loved one a gift that is truly unique and special.
Yeah, I got the watch for my dad. Dad, did you like it?
Doug, I gotta tell you something, son. I love this watch. And well,
I'm proud of you, son. Now, back to Skeleton Crew. Now, back on Atton, the truancy droids are shining flashlights in the woods, which seems like a nod to the opening of E.T., where government workers use flashlights to look for E.T. in the woods. And I also appreciate that they used an old school wipe for a transition, just like in the movies and other TV shows. Wim discovers that there are skeletons in the ship. Now, in our last breakdown, I mentioned how the show is heavily influenced by the Goonies, and in the last act of that film, the kids discover pirate skeletons guarding their booty. Except, as we find out later on, the kids are actually from the planet full of pirate booty, but they just don't know it yet. He says,
"Isn't it a wizard?"
Which of course is what Kidster said about Anakin's pod in The Phantom Menace.
"This is so wizard, Annie."
So this old-fashioned expression is another clue that this planet is actually untouched from the days of the New Republic and Empire. Also, the look of the cars on Atton is very much more in line with the look of the pre-Clone Wars era. So there were clues all through the first episode. Then he starts to try on pirate clothes, just like Chunk did in Mikey's attic at the beginning of the Goonies. Wim even holds up an old-fashioned compass similar to the one that Luke used to find Acto, that we first saw in a cutscene in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And then they arrive at the starport, and I love that the pirate starport is carved from an asteroid. It means that it's harder to find, and there are no local governments or planetary populations to regulate their coming and going. The ships they pass on their way in seem cobbled together from designs from the Galactic Civil War and the Clone Wars, but this one is the same ship that we saw boarding another vessel at the start of Episode 1. Now, it also makes sense that they would have to park far away, resting on cables. This means that a crew of pirates or rangers could not attack the base in force. The little ferryman who helps them is a practical puppet. It actually looks like he was operated with marionette rods that were digitally scrubbed out. I also love that the ferry is just plastic patched together with tape that somehow protects you from the vacuum of space. Now, there are a ton of fun little details in this port, and I had so much fun spotting them. Here, when they first enter, you can see feet dangling above them, like two people have been hanged just out of frame. Now, on Wim's money, we also get a big clue that their planet is extremely isolated. We clearly see what looks like the Old Republic roundel on the credits. So if they were part of the New Republic, we would have seen the New Republic seal that we saw on the credit in the first episode. I also thought this seal looked a little bit like the mural with the stained glass window on it in the Undersecretary's house. So maybe they're not even part of the Old Republic, but they're an independent system in the Outer Rim. Lots of species to spot in this episode. Right away we see a Quarren laughing at a guy throwing up. The guy here with the eyes is your mom, and this one with the tusks is a Whippet, the same species that 33 fights later on. We see the Ishi Tib from Episode 1 getting a new eye to replace the one that was shot out in the opening sequence. Now, this is a Kubaz using the same kind of hookah device that Jabba the Hutt used in Return of the Jedi. And then you'll notice a Twi'lek entering this place with Arabesh above that reads Dance Club. And look, I don't want to fall into stereotyping here, but usually when we see Twi'leks in Star Wars, they're usually dancers or escorts.
But that's not true. What about Hera Syndulla?
That's right, there are many Twi'lek women like Rebel hero Hera Syndulla who buck the stereotype that all Twi'lek women work in the entertainment industry. And by the way, this woman on the right is an Askajian, the same species as this dancer in Jabba's palace.
Oh, is it the same lady? Like after Jabba died, she went off and got a new job?
This is the only life I know.
I doubt it. The woman in Jabba's palace was named Yarna Del Gargan, and she was a tribal chief who was actually kidnapped by Jabba and then forced to entertain him. So after he died, she probably went home to her people. And the other woman outside the club, the one who helps them later on, is a Zygerian. Now they are known across the galaxy to enslave people to work in the spice mines of Kessel, so the kids were right to be suspicious of her.
You're trying to kidnap us.
Now I know you guys love little details like that, and that's why we love designing merchandise that has cool callbacks to all the stuff we love. Like these new designs we just made for our merch store. We just dropped our new parody shirts like Grogu, Boop and a Big Beast, Evil Will Always Triumph Because Good is Dumb, and Marty McFly in Cloud City. And just for the holidays, we have this brand new Doug as Zero ornament. We also always have huge discounts on bundles at our merch store, so if you want to stay up to date on all of that, you can subscribe to our newsletter with the link we have in the description. And also, we have a 20% discount on all tickets to our live show. So come meet me in person, let's nerd out together, and let's create a brand new Screen Crush video together. And if you have any questions about all this, you can hop on our Discord. We're always nerding out and bringing you up-to-date news on everything that we're doing. Thanks for listening to all those plugs. Now, back to the episode. So, the base is full of so many cool tiny details, like this guy using an exercise bike to power up a whetstone to sharpen a blade, or this guy in the background stealing boots off a dead man. Like, this entire planet is just so much fun. It reminds me of the levels in Star Wars Outlaws where you can just kind of walk around and explore and eat food. You feel like every character in here has a story to tell. It's a similar vibe to the cantina scene in A New Hope, but not an outright copy like like the Maz Kanata castle scene was in Force Awakens. Like right here, we just see two Keldor casually standing around. They're the same species as Plo Koon from the prequels and Clone Wars. Even these weird little flying gerbils that KB takes a liking to. Like, I just love when Star Wars fills out the edges of the frame with weird stuff.
Look at all the crazy crap.
Now, there are a couple Aqualish right here, and check out this sign above this guy's booth. Now, at first, I thought this was written in Mandoa, the language of the Mandalorians, or Huttese, which is the language of Jabba the Hutt that is most often used in criminal circles like this. But this language is actually an Outer Rim Basic, which is often mistaken for Huttese. Now, I can't make up the top row because it was too blurry on our screener, but the bottom row reads droids. So my guess is the top word is battle or assassin. This is a Klatooinian, and there is a Trandoshan right here. But there are also some new species, like the restaurant chef and the patron with the exoskeleton who rats him out to the kids for trying to rip them off. And this is where we find out that their planet is actually hiding a secret. Their credits are from the Old Republic before the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire. It's likely that they don't even know about the Clone Wars. So then what are they actually doing on that planet? Wim's dad has some kind of important work.
Sorry, buddy. I gotta work.
And the kids are all forced into a life of service for something called
The Great Work.
So I pointed out before how this term was used in the High Republic times to describe massive public works project that the Republic was building in the Outer Rim. So it makes sense that a society untouched by the Clone Wars would still be using this term. This also explains why Wim had so many books and stories about the Jedi and their hidden temples. Everywhere else in the galaxy, stories of the Jedi were eradicated, but at Atton is a completely antebellum society. I also appreciate the irony that Wim wanted to escape his boring world for an adventure, but the whole time he was living on top of a pirate legend. And then we get the return of Thane, a Nikto pirate who we met in Mandalorian Season 3. See, in that season, pirates led by Gorian Shard attacked the planet Navarro, and the Republic would not interfere because Navarro is not a member planet. That's when Din Djarin convinced his coven to return and help. Thane was one of the pirates who escaped.
Wow, so Season 3 of The Mandalorian sure did a lot of setup for other stuff.
Oh, it sure did, which actually I don't mind. I think that season actually had some deeper themes that other seasons lacked, which you covered in this video. One of my favorite videos we've ever done for the channel. And here's a fun classic Star Wars Easter egg. The Klatooinian in Return of the Jedi was named Barada, so when you put his name together with a Nikto like Thane, you get this classic phrase from the sci-fi classic, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Sorry, I meant this phrase.
Klaatu, Barada.
Nikto.
When Win is being chased, everyone does that slow trot that actors do when they're running on the volume, and actually, in reality, only have a few feet to run. I mean, look, the environment looks great, but it's hard not to notice that sort of thing.
What's the volume?
The volume is a giant dome of LCD screens they use for like Star Wars and other things, so they have to create a whole environment. It's very cool, but it does limit the actor's movement. Thane holds them at gunpoint with a 3-barreled pistol, similar to the double-barreled dueling pistols that a pirate might use on an old pirate serial, like the ones that John Watts and his team studied when they made this show. And then we get this really fun fight where 33 takes down a few pirates with just a couple punches. And then we see that not only does 33 have a built-in shield, but he can also heat that shield up and use it to burn the fur off this Whippet's neck. And in the chaos, these little creatures fly away while these guys just casually trot off screen. Again, it's the volume, so there's not a lot of space to move around. 33 leads the kids past a Klatooinian getting a tattoo done by an 8D8 model droid, like the one that tortured a Gonk droid here in Return of the Jedi. This attracts the attention of the pirate Gunter, played by Jalil White, aka Steve Urkel.
Did I do that?
Now, like I said in our last breakdown, I fully think that Steve Urkel was an alien on that show. And someday we will make that video because I believe that this is the same character and the Family Matters is now a part of the Star Wars canon. The chase ends when Brutus, the pirate who mutinied in episode 1, hits 3 with an ion blast to disable him. We also see his crewmate, the Grand with 2 eyes, next to him. And the woman with them is played by Dale Souls. Now, you probably know her from Orange is the New Black.
Good. Who we trying to impress?
And then the kids are locked in jail. And I love this incredibly naive idea they have that they can just tell this anthropomorphized mouse to go get the keys.
Climb up those poles and get the key and come back.
And then, of course, it just pees on them. Now, this is similar also to Baby Groot not being able to find Yondu's fin in Guardians 2.
What? No!
He thinks you want him to wear it as a hat.
And then we finally meet Jude Law's character, Jadna Wood, a former Jedi who survived Palpatine's purge.
Yeah, but Yoda said Luke was the last Jedi.
Technically, he was because Force users like Ahsoka Tano and Jude Law left the Order. Now, like I said in our episode 1 breakdown, I think that Jude Law was the pirate at the start of the first episode. He would have survived the purge by cutting himself off from the Force and then going into a life of crime. He only emerged from the back of that cell when the kids said,
I guess the legend is that that Atton holds some sort of eternal treasure.
And remember, that pirate captain promised his crew a big score.
At long last, I brought you to the only thing that matters. Cold, hard credits.
Now, when he uses the Force, notice how the keyring bends backwards to show us how the Force is physically pulling the object forward. There's also a callback here to the binary sun theme from A New Hope, but I think it's played in a minor key on a cello. So, if this is a rogue Jedi, then that is a great choice by composer Mick Giacchino, who, incidentally, is the son of the great composer Michael Giacchino, and also this guy composed the score of The Penguin.
Wow, we did not deserve that show. It was so good.
I know, it was awesome. So then he says,
The distance between us and the key is an illusion.
and this definitely sounds like a lesson he could have learned from Master Yoda when they talked about feeling the Force between objects.
Feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock.
Hey, there's a few Easter eggs you forgot. SM-33 also mentions the planet Atton, the site of the chopper base in Rebels.
Might you be thinking of Atton?
No!
And that Klatooinian getting a tattoo was actually getting a tattoo of the symbol of the Pike Syndicate, the criminal gang that Boba Fett went up against in the Book of Boba Fett. And they also make an appearance in Star Wars Outlaws. Also, sending a mouse for the keys is a lot like this scene in the Pirates of the Caribbean, when they try to get a dog's help to escape jail.
No, I didn't mean it!
Okay, that's all the little Easter eggs I caught, so I'm gonna go now. Bye!
And if you're holiday shopping, check out our merch store for huge discounts. And right now you can use the code SCTOUR to get 20% off all tickets to our live show. So let me know what you thought of these first 2 episodes down in the comments below or on our Discord, or you can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Threads. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.